Hi, everyone. Welcome to Atrium Research's YouTube channel. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Robert Boyd, the CEO of Endurance Gold Corp. We currently have a buy rating and a 50-cent per share target price on Endurance. And if you want to follow along, you can subscribe to our mailing list at atriumresearch.ca and receive all of our research there. Robert, how are you doing today?
Great, I'm doing well. Thanks, Ben. I'm just back from the Kamloops Exploration Group Conference, or as we call it, the KEG Conference out here. We drove back last night, so getting back into the grind here, getting ready for our 2024 activities.
Yeah, well, and great to have you on. We're looking forward to hearing about those 2024 plans. So before we do, maybe let's fill the viewers in on the 2023 exploration campaign. I know you missed out on a little bit of drilling due to some fires, but it was successful nonetheless. So why don't you talk about that for a little bit here?
Sure, happy to. We went into 2023 with a plan of doing a much larger program than we did, but we still accomplished 5,200 meters of drilling, and that drilling continued to deliver success statistics like we've already been reporting on the program. And so it just added to the good statistics that we have. And I think 53 of the 82 diamond drill holes we've completed, including the 2023 program, have got better than 10 gram meter hits. And another interesting statistics we put out to our audience at KEG when we spoke there this past few days was that we actually have 88 drill intersections over 10 gram meters in 82 drill holes. So but only, but if you just count one intersection per hole, it's 53 out of the 82 holes. So it's really an impressive hit statistic of plus 10 gram meters. And we don't classify anything in that category unless it runs at least 3 grams, at least 3.4 grams over 3 meters. So we don't like to throw anything into our statistics unless it's got at least a 3 meter width of mineralized interval. And
right.
And so, as you know, our activity up in the Eagle Zone in particular has the most drilling to date, down to about 200 meters now. And that zone, we have drilled off for about 550 meters, including some holes this year. And it averages arithmetically about 9 meters width in there, and around 6 grams. And we followed it down dip in that area for about 150 meters or so. So it's showing up as a pretty significant possibility there. We didn't get around to accomplishing our plans in 2023 of doing over 10 to 15,000 meters. We came out only with 5,200 meters, and that's because the forest fires came in and affected us significantly. First, our crews that came out of Seton Portage had to go back and fight the fires at their own home. And then later, about 2 weeks later, forest fires in our area in Goldbridge resulted in us being evacuated for about 2 months. So it really took the wind out of our sails in terms of accomplishing our objectives last year. So we're back now with objectives to go after about a 10,000 meter program this coming year. And we don't have our year-end financials out, but the last financials we had us with about 2.9 million in working capital at the end of September, and we'll end up the year with well over 2 million in working capital. So we've got enough to get started, and our plan is to be back doing things, and the objective is go after at least up to a 10,000 meter program this year. To open up the system, our goal is to continue to build that system, fill in gaps, demonstrate its potential to grow down dip and along strike, and in gaps between the Eagle and Imperial Zone. But so far, our statistics, including our 2003 work, are continuing to deliver those kind of encouraging hits.
Yeah, and just on those statistics, I have a couple in front of me that are in our research notes, but it's 22% of your drill holes are hitting plus 10 grams per ton. 11%, even over 100 gram meters, excuse me.
Yes.
So it's, it's obviously very good, and we're expecting things to continue in 2024. Just going back to the 2023 program, the initial sort of plan was to target the Eagle Zone at depth because you had limited drilling at depth previously. And you did that. Of course, the program wasn't as large, but can you just talk about the success of intersecting some of those veins at depth and really just expanding three-dimensional that potential deposit?
Yeah, well, we did drill at depth, got some holes drilled at depth at the Eagle Zone, not as many as we'd like. And then we delivered some some consistent intersections over 10 gram meter there at depth. We didn't have any spectacular hole at depth on the Eagle Zone, but we did in opening up the Imperial Zone in terms of plus
Hmm.
70 gram meter type hits in that area, and one plus 70 gram meter hit up an Eagle at the mid level, not the real deep level. So we're continuing to demonstrate that system, but as you open these systems up, you have to try to do that is to help you understand the plunge of some of the thicker zones, and we're still probing a little bit on that. And the one thing of our 2023 program was that we now seem to have a better understanding of that, especially at Imperial. We're seeing what looks like a shallow plunge, and that's consistent with what we saw at Eagle, where there's this flatter, wider zone that exists within the 80-meter post at Eagle, what we would call kind of an extensional structural uh, system where it delivers much wider intersections in those areas. And we expect to see those in a structural system like this. Those will continue to repeat as you go down and follow the system at depth. And so far, that's holding up. At Imperial, we see that fat zone at depth as well, and we tested that concept of stepping out along strike on a shallower plunge, and that concept is holding up in terms of delivering intersections. So now we hope to build on that with a little bit of that understanding from our 2023 program to step out and target the concept of some of these systems having consistent repeating of these shallower shoots. Where you've got the real fatter zones, but we continue to see plus 3 meter intersections of very good grade all in between there. So what you're going to end up with is a system that's very consistently mineralized because it's not a vein, it's actually cataclastites is where the real continuity of the mineralization. And the cataclastite is essentially a fault breccia, but that fault breccia was brecciated very early on, and then the mineralization went into that fault zone, and then it's continued to be structurally deformed and healed and totally lithified into a multi-phase breccia system that you could see very good continuity with it. And if your viewers want to look at our cross sections on the website, you'll see that some of the recent cross sections. You can see that the two areas where we've got cross sections are about 800 meters apart along striking. The setting is identical up at the Imperial Zone and the Imperial Zone. This is one big 80-meter wide structure that we're following and have now followed and demonstrated over at least 1.5 kilometers. And within that, there's a footwall feature, which is at the Eagle Zone, and a hanging wall feature called the Eagle South. And then occasionally to these zones that just blow out and link up both of those zones and big fat zones like we've got up at Eagle. And that zone outcrop quite a bit initially when we got on the program, when we followed that at shallow depth to the southeast, and that's why we've got that 550-meter strike of very good widths there.
So outside of the Royal Shear and the Eagle Zone, you did some work last year at the Olympic Claims, and it's obviously very preliminary. There was no drilling taking place, but could you just touch on the work, what you sort of discovered there in 2023, and then talk about your plans at the Olympic Claims in 2024?
Yeah, well, as your viewers may know and have read your research reports on us, that we're sitting in a camp that's an orogenic gold camp, and these orogenic gold camps occur at collisional regimes or compressional regimes where continents collide. And so as a result, there's a lot of structures in these, often in these camps. And in an orogenic camp, you can have multiple structures that are mineralized. Sometimes there's one regional structure, but often it's in satellite features. And it looks like we're in one of those big satellite structures in an orogenic gold camp with our Royal Shear feature. But on our property, we have a whole bunch of parallel structures now, and two or three of those we've now demonstrated have gold associated with them. One is the Treasure Shear, which is very close to the Royal Shear, and we've done a little bit of RC drilling on that. But we're particularly encouraged by the parallel structures that are developing over on our Olympic option, and we've now through 2 years of geochem, we've demonstrated now about another 1.8 kilometer long geochem feature on the Olympic trend, and a shorter similar feature along the Enigma trend. And then also a northeast trending structure that we don't, or attitude to some of the geochem that we don't fully understand. But that now is demonstrating to us another big structure that's hosting anomalous pathfinder elements, arsenic in particular, which is a pathfinder for gold for us, over this 1.8 kilometer trend. And within that trend, we've identified some veins in there where smaller veins, admittedly, but they're 5 to 21 gram per ton gold, demonstrating that there's a really strong gold association with this geochemical trend. And those are the same kind of little satellite veinlets, are the kinds of things that used to outcrop in the old days at the Royal Shear trend, and nobody really explored it with drilling. And you identify these wide breccia zones that they don't outcrop very well because they're iron carbonate cemented breccias that don't weather very well. So now we have to move to the stage of doing a bit more geochem to flesh out that structure, those structures that we've identified on the Olympic trend. And our plan this year is to also advance those projects to the drill stage and go through the consultation phase and application phase to get a drill permit, a new drill permit on that area, just that particular area. In the meantime, we've got lots of room left in our existing drill permit to make the Royal Shear bigger.
Yeah, no, and I mean, it's a very exciting area for that tailwind of growth to what you already have uncovered. And so we're particularly excited about, you know, these multiple phases and further growth potential on top of what already looks like, you know, a decent sized deposit at 5 to 7 grams per ton, quite high grade, especially when a portion of that is in fact open pittable. So you guys are able to get to work early May based on the most recent press release. Can you just talk about what your initial stages of work are in the next month or so?
Yeah, well, we have plans to be back, as we announced in our release on Monday this week, that we're gonna go back to do up to 10,000 meters and try to catch up on that work that we planned to do last year along the fully permitted Royal Shear. Also do, as we just discussed, some additional geochemical sampling on the Olympic trend, and even extending the Royal Shear trend, because we do have some biogeochem along trend that needs to be fleshed out and explained. That's outside of our 1.5 kilometers where we've got drill intersections. And so, as part of our effort to continue to advance the project and get a better understanding of the deposit itself, the controls, we're doing structural, mineralogical, and metallurgical studies this year. And as we mentioned, consultations active to move this Olympic area project to the drill stage. And of course, like whenever you've got a successful project, you got to do your baseline studies and the stream sediment and water geochem in the area, and related other environmental studies. And of course, people keep asking us, when are you going to deliver a resource? Well, our focus is to make this system bigger, but in the meantime, we plan to do the work this year to upgrade our and continue to work on our 3D geological model to be able to deliver um, a good data base as we move towards a resource calculation.
Mhm.
Excuse me.
Yeah, and we have our own estimates on Atrium, so if people want to take a look at those, they can on our website, as I've mentioned. And then, so just today, gold broke through $2,400 an ounce. There's a lot of excitement in the space, seeing a lot of buying in the junior exploration companies, both on gold, silver, and copper. Um, how has this sort of affected you guys? I know the stock has sold off a little bit in the last several months. And now that you're moving into the 2024 campaign, albeit a lot earlier than a lot of these Golden Triangle explorers, um, how has this sort of affected the story, and where do you see this going over the next few months here?
Well, we noticed uh, uh, con- significant positioning by um, sophisticated investors starting in early March when gold price started to pick up, and we've noticed that accumulation going on in endurance shares ourselves, and we're off our bottom and picking up with not bad volumes for us. Remember, we're
Hmm.
a company that's 55% held by three of us on the
Yeah.
board, insiders. So we have a pretty tight float. We've rarely aligned with shareholders, and a lot of our shareholders that are in that non-insider position are very loyal, and we're picking up a lot of new loyal shareholders that saw what we had at the PDAC Core Shack. We were featured at one of the displayers at the Core Shack, and there was a lot of interest there by sophisticated investors in our business. And that continued consolidation has been going on since that period. So we're off our bottom. We still feel we're undervalued, like most juniors, but
Yeah.
for what we have already, we think we've got the potential, as you see the potential, to easily break the 1 million ounce potential on this project. And our goal is to continue to open this system up and demonstrate it could be much bigger than that.
Yeah.
And so we're really we feel we're quite undervalued for that, and want to see that recognition for us. And we hope our program this year will be able to continue to deliver the
Hmm.
success that will demonstrate that.
Yeah, well, and historically, we've always seen, the great results that you guys have put out, and the market always reacted pretty positively. So we're expecting good things this spring and through the summer. I will say, just going back on the average grade of what we've seen to date, being in that 5 to 7 gram per ton range, it stands out amongst your peer group substantially, where they're putting together, maybe even less than 1 gram deposits. You guys are in this 5 to 7 gram per ton range, which there's so much meat on the bone from a profit standpoint, and even inflation. It's been rising. It's risen quite a lot. We're seeing that in the ASICs of these other producers. So you guys are quite hedged against that risk with this being such a high grade deposit as of right now. So
Yeah,
with that, Robert, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, you're absolutely right, Ben, and we're right 5 kilometers from a 50 megawatt hydro facility, public hydro facility. We're road accessible year round. We're in an industrial camp of historic mining and core and forestry logging, including right on our property. So we've got all the good merits of a really good project that can be developed pretty reasonably. And a lot of those intersections we've been talking about are very close to surface and have the potential of
Yeah.
generating a low cost payback pit of some kind.
Hmm. Precisely. And again, we talk about all of that in our initiation report and in our other research throughout the year. So with that, Robert, I appreciate your time. For our viewers, I've mentioned this a couple times already, but you can find all of our research on endurance on our website at atriumresearch.ca, and you can also subscribe to our mailing list on there. Robert, thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Ben. And if anybody wants more information, we've got a lot of information on our website. Please go there. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Rob.
Okay. Take care. Bye
Bye.
now.